Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about spiritual magic, the law of attraction, the art of allowing, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a teacher, tarot oracle card reader, and I'm also the singer and guitarist in band Red Treasure, and I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina, and I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking and their lives transform. And I am in San Diego, California.
And we want to thank you so much for listening to the audio version of the podcast. If you're listening to it on Spotify, the Apple Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you so much for following our podcast and subscribing to our podcast and writing us reviews. You are helping other people find it. We also want to thank those of you who are watching the video version of this on our Co-Creation Station YouTube channel. And we also thank those of you for liking this episode and for subscribing to our channel, because you are helping people find out about us on YouTube. So thank you so much for that. You can also leave a comment for us if you're watching the YouTube version, and no matter how you're listening or watching, you can email us at cocreationstation1111 at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Each week we start our conversation from a different jumping off point, and this week we have a very special guest that Stephanie and I are super excited has decided to join us. This is our friend Angelica Sepulveda, and she lives up in my neck of the woods in Los Angeles here, and she is a body worker, but that is a drastic oversimplification of what she does.
Hi.
So welcome, Angelica. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
It is our pleasure. We're really happy to have you here. We've already had like a nice little conversation before we record, so it's nice.
There's a couple times I'm like, should we hit record?
So Angelica, I think because a lot of our viewers and listeners will be brand new to them, we'll just start out with asking you, like, what is it that you do primarily with your healing work, and how did you get into it? And also, I have a curiosity about, I know that you studied and worked with a very special group of people in New Zealand. So if you want to talk about
Yes.
that too, we can include that.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm a body worker, and I've been doing body work for about 26 years now, maybe 27, about that. And I got started just because of my, I was a pre-med student. I was a bio major in college, pre-med, but I just didn't see myself going that route. But I was always fascinated with the body and how it had the power of self-healing. So I got into more of the alternative medicine route. And while doing that, I just came across massage therapy as something that interests me as an art, the healing art of body, the touch, and how powerful it can be. And so that's where I started. But throughout the years, I've studied many different modalities. And sometimes people, when they get a session from me, they say, well, what is that called, what you just did? And it's really, I don't have a name for it. It's just a combination of different things that I've learned and I apply. And so, and as far as yes, I did study with the Maori healers from New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And I met them. Yeah, they were amazing, powerful healers. They came in to Los Angeles when I first heard about them in 2007. And I was
I just
driving.
got tingles all over my
Oh,
body. I was just like, whoa, okay.
Yes. I was driving and I
Powerful.
was listening to an interview, and they were talking about what they did. And I had to stop and park the car and just listen intently. And I was like, and they were talking about one of the aspects of their body work is how painful it can be, because it gets to the nervous system and it breaks down patterns and things like that. And that kind of scared me a little bit, but I was so ready for that type of deep work that I was going to be brave and do it. And I went to see them, and it was just transformative. And ever since then, whenever they came, I went to see them, and eventually I started learning with them. They would offer workshops, and then I actually went to New Zealand to study with them. It was amazing.
Holy cow. How long ago was that?
That was 3 years ago when I did that
Oh,
the
so it's
training
fairly
in New
recent.
Zealand. Yeah, the actual, but I've been seeing them for many years and taken workshops when they were here in LA
So then
occasionally.
when did you first hear of them, their
In
existence?
2007.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a nice, yeah, it's been a really great aspect of my body work where I don't just solely do Maori body work. I incorporate it when
Right.
it's needed or
So you do like Reiki, and so what are some of the modalities that you say that you incorporate in a session?
so right with the Reiki, I don't just do a Reiki session, but I incorporate the because I've done Reiki and I've done many other forms of energetic training, and then something called reconnective healing. I've done white light healing and Reiki, and what I do now is I just have the awareness of these frequencies,
Yeah.
and then it's like in layers. I have the awareness of the frequencies, and then I'm in this like connecting with their body, and I listen and I do whatever
So when you're
is
hands
needed.
on, when you're hands
It's
on, like when you're
right,
doing the massage, then you're tapped in and you just kind of tune into what they're needing and what would work best for them. And then you
exactly,
incorporate it in the massage. Wow.
exactly.
And so everybody's different, right? Because if I came
Everybody's
in,
different.
I would need, for what I'm going through in my life and all of that stuff, I would need something different than if Collin was to come in and where he's at in his life and all he's going through. And so we would both have two different experiences with
Totally,
all of the healing that you do and yet come
exactly.
out and be better for it, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And then there's the with the person, with the client tells me, oh, I have this or I have that. And definitely that gets addressed. But then there's another aspect of that that happens just by, oh, wait a minute, this is what's happening, you know? So then that's where it's different for everybody because everybody's going through something different where perhaps
Right.
someone really needs like that really deep work. Then someone just needs like hold a cranial sacral hold
Oh,
or in the back of the head, or they need more release in the head, or they need more feet. It's all different. It's
yeah.
just an intuitive feeling. Um, but overall there is a structure that works that I like to go with, that I works and I like to go with the structure, but then there's some looseness within that. So
That you've created over time because of all of your knowledge and practice and education and everything. You've kind of cultivated your own practice of all
exactly.
it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
how exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I had one session with you,
Yes.
and I haven't had a lot of massages, but I've had massages before, and my experience, nothing against the massage therapists I had before, were fantastic, but I really felt like a they were doing very specific techniques that they would do on anyone, regardless of body type. I mean, some adjustment, but not much. And then number two, they were really going off. Like I could feel them looking for pockets of tension in my shoulders and things. And when they would find a physical pocket of tension, they would do a great job of working through that or whatever. And what really struck me about the session with you is you did that also, but there was like this deeper dimension to it where you were sensing things that weren't even like there wasn't a glare. It didn't feel like there was a glaring physical thing going on. In other words, like there's part of my, I don't remember all the specifics, but like just as an example, that'd be like a part of my back, and I wasn't feeling any tension or pain in it necessarily, but you would work on that area and I would be like, oh, afterwards, after just working on that area, I would feel like amazing all of a sudden. So there was something that had like both a body component and an energy component, I'm
Right.
imagining, that was in that area, and you were able to sense that and work on it and heal it in a way that, just again, nothing against traditional massage
Right.
therapy, but just somebody else would, if they're only following traditional methods and what's physically
Hmm.
detectable, they're not going to find those pockets of, where your energy might be blocked or things like
Right.
that. I mean, pretty much anytime I have anybody read my aura or my chakras, they're like, Okay, you have several chakras that are blocked. It's this one, this one, this one, you know. So I mean, it was really fascinating to go into what I saw. I knew you did something a little different, but
Yeah.
you know, like I went to your beautiful place and I got on a
Mhm.
massage table and it sort of
Right.
it followed a lot of the same kind of things that I had
Right.
done before. But then I had a very different experience, and
Yeah.
I not only felt better physically after. I mean, I felt amazing physically. I have to say, like changed after
Yeah.
after your session, but it was also like an energetic thing. Like I
Right.
felt calmer. I felt more like I don't even know how to say it, like authentic. Like
Grounded.
yeah, grounded. That's really the
Mm-hmm.
best way to say it. Yeah, I felt like I was like feeling very happy in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I think it's also what I like to do or say that I like what where that all comes from is from listening. Just listening to
yeah,
and over time I've you get to this place where you can your hands are the list it's
yeah,
an intuitive thing, but it's also my hands develop these kind of antennas, the sensitivity
I
to
like
other
that.
things, you know so
They're an
yeah.
extension, right? Of then,
yeah.
yeah.
What fascinates me, the more episodes we do and the more guests we have from all sorts of different that you know, and different guests do different things and you know have different backgrounds and everything, but there are these themes that are the same, you know, and
Mm,
one of them you just hit on is listening.
right.
Whether it's a chiropractor who's like putting their hands on the spine and listening to
Uh-huh.
where is it adjusted, where is it not adjusted, what does the body want, you know, kind of in terms of what's off and what would the body like help, you know, replacing it where it needs to go, to like people who are like, you know, like tarot oracle card readers like myself who are listening to the wisdom of whatever comes through in the cards. Like it does feel like there's this sort of like you have to let go of sort of like ego and like hardcore analytical thinking, although
Right.
all of these things involve some sort of logical thinking, but like the real healing takes place when we listen to like what's really going on in the universe, what's really going on with this person, like what's going on energetically. It's really fascinating.
And
We're
you know,
having a little trouble
healing.
hearing you all of a sudden, Angelica. I don't know if something.
I'm sorry.
We're
Your
having
volume
trouble
is
hearing.
really low. We could hear you really well earlier, and now it's
Oh,
some. I don't know what
I don't
happened.
know what happened. Let me see. Let me try raising the volume. I don't know if that helps.
No, it's the same. Huh.
Hmm.
Wonder what happened. Do you think she should go out and come back in,
I
Collin?
think
Because she didn't.
that's usually what it's usually like the reboot, which the
Oh,
reboot version of Zoom is just log out, log back in.
Yeah, why don't you? And we'll just sit here and chat,
Yeah.
and then we look forward to you coming right back in. Um, yeah, it kind of goes back to those different layers, right? Like she was
Yeah.
like, well, in practice, I was thinking practice because when she first started doing body work, what did she say, 25, 6, 7 years ago, or what have you?
Yeah.
She's very different today than she was then. And that's that whole
Yeah.
practice, right? The more she did it, the better she got. And then the more in tune she got. And she was like the layers that she's able to get to with a client now is very different than when she first started.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's for all of us, right? We go and change.
Yeah.
And Jella, we were talking about how, you were talking about different layers and stuff and how, even back when you started, what did you say, 26, 27 years ago,
mm-hmm.
what you could do then, what you can do now is very different than what you could do then.
Right.
And it's just like practicing, right? You were learning, you kept practicing, you were growing, you were knowing more. And so you weren't able to back then to get it to the different levels that you're able to get to with a client now. And I think
Exactly.
that's that, like when we stick with something and we just grow and
Yes.
expand.
And you
And
hone that craft, and
yeah.
it's really exciting, and how and it's very, when you look back and you compare, wow, it's really very different.
And what benefits that you can give, because Angelica and I were talking earlier, about prior to us hitting record,
Mm-hmm.
about how we all grow and change, and some people stay the same, that's just kind of who they are. And there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. Because we're all very different. But then some of us, and I think all three of us here today, are very much like that. We're just teachers and we're students, like lifetime teachers and students. But I was a student first, and then I
Yes.
feel like I became a teacher. And so we expand and grow, and what we're the way we help people now is very different the way
Yes.
we were able to help people, earlier in our lives.
I feel like I'm an eternal student. I'm always I
Yeah, me
just
too.
it keeps me engaged. It keeps me inspired is the word.
Happy,
Learning
right?
new
Isn't it? Are
techniques.
you feeding
Yes,
yourself?
I
Yeah.
need to have a new. Oh, it's time for something new. Like so. And I love incorporating new things. And there's times when I don't. I just take a pause. But then it comes to a time like, wow, that sounds really interesting. Let me check that out. And then
Yeah.
it'll take time for me to really incorporate it because it things need to settle sometimes. You take it in and then, oh,
Hmm.
now I get it now. I can do this, that kind of thing.
So, what are some of the ways that you could give us examples of how you've helped people? They've come to see you for like one thing, and then, what they got when they were done. How was it different for them, and what came up unexpectedly that they had
Mm.
no idea?
God, so many different cases. I can't really like think of anything at this moment, but
Is there kind of like a common theme with some people?
Um, a lot of my clients are like people who have high stress lives, jobs, and so they come to me for like their maintenance, like to keep themselves
Mm.
balanced.
Hmm.
That's the majority of my. So there's weekly clients. There's every 2 weeks or every month,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, um, let's see. Yeah, can't really think of.
So, I would like to share an
Or
experience.
I'll say one more thing to that though. A lot of times, eh, I may not even be aware of
Mm.
their outcome. They feel that later on their when they get home, and I don't get to hear it
Oh,
also because
okay.
they're
Yeah.
very like zoned out, and it's like
Okay. Yeah.
after. So, but yeah,
Your space, if are you still working in the same space in Burbank that
no,
I?
actually, I moved from there. I had to close that
Oh,
space down. I was in Toluca Lake, and I had to close it
okay.
down because of COVID. And then I was just doing house calls during that whole time. And then now I'm in Studio City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say the place I went, uh, was it Toluca Lake? I thought it was Burbank.
Toluca Lake. Mm-hmm.
Um, the like most times when I've gone to a massage place, I mean they have ambiance. It's calm. There's like calming music, but like your I don't know what you call it, studio, or whatever. When I walked into get on the table, it was like the most spiritual environment
Mm.
for anybody that does that kind of work that I've ever been into. Like I
Mm,
mean that in the best sense. I don't mean that it was
yeah.
like overtly religious or something.
Oh, no, no.
I
Yeah, that's
mean,
super
like
important.
just the lighting and how you had it
Hmm.
decorated, and I mean I just sort of felt like it. You're talking about helping people with stress. I mean, it was like I walked into the room and my stress level, and I suffer with terrible chronic anxiety. I mean, my stress level just dropped. Like
Wow.
it was
That's,
like a wave of calm hit me as I
yeah,
went into your space. And
totally.
I think that like we live in Los Angeles, and not that we have the corner on the market of stress, but it is an interesting city to live in that way, in the sense that because I lived in New York City as well, and there's this in both cities. At least I've experienced there's a very I mean, it's an overgeneralization to an extent, but there's a lot of people who either live here, were born here or come to live here, and they're just very driven. So there's this
Yes.
upside to the passion and the desire and the healthy ambition that they have to like
Hmm.
move forward and do important and exciting things in their life. But there's also, like in New York City, you have everybody crammed into the subways and everything, and you have all the noise because everything is jammed in this one little island basically. And in LA we have the traffic, which
Oh,
is,
yeah.
I mean, I'd heard about it, I'd heard the legends before I moved here, but it's like it's a whole other realm once you actually get here. And I think what I've learned is that, we say stress, and it's an appropriate term, but stress is another word for fear. Like, it's a fear of whatever, it's
Mhm.
general fear basically. And fear is a normal emotion, but if we have too much of it, it actually weakens our energy tremendously.
Totally.
We're in fear all the time. We're depleting ourselves in addition
Yes.
to everything else we're doing that's depleting us. So I think it's really fantastic. I don't think it's an accident that you're doing what you're doing, and you're
Mm.
doing it here in Los Angeles, where so many people are so stressed out.
Stress, it's a do city, right? On the go. Everyone's on the go.
Yeah.
So yes.
So I have a friend, well, Sam, my friend, she's my homeopath as well. She's been on before, and she was going to be doing this healing energy event with 7 other healing practitioners with different modalities. And so I went to support her, and the each practitioner was offering 15-minute sessions of their practice, and you could purchase
Mhm.
these. And so I thought, I had read the list, and I was like, I'll just go and see. And I looked in my wallet, and I had $15. I was like, okay, I assume I'm supposed to be getting one. And I go in and I walk around, and it's this beautiful, it's Earth Elements in Hillcrest. They were having their
Mhm.
like a opening, and walked around, and there was this one woman. She was a also a, let's see, I'm going to get this right, crystals and body work, crystals and
Mhm.
sound. And
Oh,
I
beautiful.
thought she was working on someone, and I just saw that, and I was instantly drawn. And so I
Yes.
went, and I had had a lot of stress going on that day with some, personal thing, and just, a lot of with some business stuff, everything. So I left, and I left home tired and stressed, but I wanted to support my friend. And so I went, and I lied down on the table. She did 15 minutes of what she does. And I
Mhm.
had this experience when I was a kid where I would feel like, I think it's my outer body I could feel. And I've only had the experience a few times in my life. When we got done, I was towards the end, I was having that experience, and it's such a blissful feeling.
Yes.
And she was talking to me, and I just wanted to stay in that state. It was so
Mhm.
amazing.
Yes.
And but there was other people waiting, and so I had to like come out, and literally there were probably like 30 or 40 people in this big store. And I wanted to leave because I was so like having to come back into my body, and I just wanted to go, and I ended up staying. But it was such a wonderful experience. And she told me I had like stuck energy in my throat and my heart and la la la. And she was, do you have, I said, yeah, I have digestion issues. And she's like, okay. And she gave me a couple crystals to like hang on to, for one for my heart, one for
Mhm.
protection, and one for abundance. So I started, ever since I left, I was so like, I literally had a smile on my face. I went over to Sam, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel amazing. Like, that was
Yes.
15 minutes.
Isn't it amazing? Yes. She was
It's
able to unblock whatever was pulling you down. And then that was able to make you connect to your joy, to your true essence, right? That's what it is.
Yes, yeah.
Connecting to that. And there's so many roads to that, but it's
So,
amazing.
but what it reminded me was like, oh yeah, I haven't done chakra clearing in like a long time, and so every day, no, several times since then, it's been a week and a half. I've done meditations and cleared my chakras and cleaned and done all this stuff, and yeah, my joy level has increased, and I just feel more in tune, and so I definitely want to keep that practice up. So I think you, I imagine what how you're helping people, but I think it goes even far beyond that, because I don't even know that this woman even realizes how the
Right.
impact she had on me, and the things that can happen for us in between sessions, and when we
Yes.
see someone like you regularly, and then the benefits from it. And so
Right.
just seeing her for 15 minutes got me in tune with, oh yeah, I do need to clean my
Mm-hmm.
chakras more often. Um and to see like a walking in stressed out, tired, and then leave in joy and like happiness, and like it was like a night and day experience, and that these things, I benefit from them, they help us, and how
Yeah,
important they are.
totally. And it's also after sessions like that, your body continues to unwind and continues to let go, sometimes a day or two even later. because these are layers.
So there's a grocery store, a Japanese grocery store in a community near me, and they have these massage chairs, very nice
Mm.
high-end massage chairs, and you put $1 in and get 5 minutes. And so I went a couple of days ago and put in $6. I got 30 minutes, and halfway through I had the same hand experience where I think I'm feeling, would you say that? Do you think I'm feeling my aura, my energy body? Like what?
Oh, it could be, there's, outside of our physical bodies, we have different bodies. And
Yeah,
it could be one of those. There's
yeah, yeah.
the astral, the
Because it's
different
not like I
levels.
can feel my hand, but I feel the energy
Energy around it.
around my hand,
Hmm.
and it is
Yes.
amazing
Yes.
feeling. And so I was like, oh, and I know the work I got done for that she did on me last week was the reason why I had that experience when I was in the massage chair and just kind of like, oh,
Yes. No, and that really speaks to that we are, we've heard this, we all know this, we're all energy, you know, everything is energy, we're all
right.
energy. And it's just a reminder, look, you experienced that.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh
I think
yeah.
the other thing that's fascinating to me about that too is that, I'm a pretty intellectual person by nature. I'm a very standard Virgo. I'm an introvert. All these things. I'm in my head a lot. One of my challenges as I mature here is, being in my body more, focusing on the spiritual and the energy more, because my default training, mental training is, well, I'm going to solve everything with my logical thinking, and
Hmm.
the further I go along in my spiritual journey, the more I realize, like, yeah, it's helpful for certain things, but it's more like opening doors and making food. It's not so much like spiritual growth comes from that. But the thing that I think was surprising to me when I first learned it, and I think to people new to the whole thing of body healing, energy healing, and how that interacts with the law of
Hmm.
attraction is like you could literally have something going on in your energy field or in your body that is like stopping you from getting the right job. Like it's literal.
Blocking.
There's
Yeah.
so much connection. Like it fascinates me. I mean, the human body just on its own is this miracle of like millions of different parts that do all these crazy things. But it's also that physical body is connected to our energy and our spiritual body, which is determining all these things about our life. So I mean, I've heard stories of people getting deep body work, and like literally they're in a horrible marriage, and after 6 months of body work they're able to get out of the marriage, and it's like,
Right.
how on earth would somebody putting their hands on your body have anything to do with like
Right.
a marital situation? But it's literally like we can take these stresses and we can trap them in our energy, in our body, and these different healing modalities can have. I mean, like the session I had with you, I felt better. I felt amazing physically. So on that
Mhm.
level, it was a huge success. But it's also like I said, like I felt calmer. I felt like more of who I truly am. Like it's there's so many possibilities with this stuff. It's really
It
cool. But I think
is.
some people, we're shifting from this culture where everything is kind of ordered logically and intellectually. Like, oh, you go to a massage therapist if your muscles are aching, and they work on you and they help your muscles not ache. And it's
Hmm.
not that that's not true. Like, that's one of the things that can happen. But the more we learn about how things are really working behind the scenes in the universe, like
Right.
most of these things are becoming you know much more expansive and a much bigger deal.
Right. It's all about, unblocking, creating flow,
Yeah.
opening the pathways in your physical body. And again, and also when you do that, like you said, it opens up the outer bodies and it opens you up to other things and possibilities. And, whether it's through body work or meditation or movement, it's all the intention. We should, as a practice, just
Incorporate
release,
it.
let go, flow,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it opens up to so many things, like you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how elegant of a segue this is, but you had mentioned to me when we were talking like a month ago when we were, discussing having you on the show. You had mentioned because a lot of our episodes, especially if it's just Stephanie and me, we just devote the entire thing to like an exploration of the law of attraction, the art of allowing, like
Right.
how to attract things in. And you mentioned that the story of you meeting your current husband and
Yes.
falling in love and everything, it's like a bright shining example of using the art of allowing to
The art of
work
allowing.
with,
Yeah.
work with the law of attraction to bring something great into your life. So
Right. Well, the process that I'd like to share is about that. It's well, it started with a friend of mine who's a hypnotherapist, and she helps people with a list. Like, you write a list of what you want to attract. In my case, it was my partner, and it was being in the bottom line of this list is to have clarity, right? Because you can apply this to anything. It doesn't have to be a list, but in your mind, you have to be clear about what you desire. So the list is for that purpose. And so we went through the list, and it's very complex. And we revisit it again. And she says, okay, this needs to be more clear. And then once I did that, I was felt very complete with it. And then I put it away and I forgot about it. Um, and years later, I've done many things, we listen, but then I got to the point where I just sort of stopped. I stopped trying. I stopped being in my head about it. And I started to just let go. And I said, I'm done with it. It's too much work. I'm just gonna I just let it go. I just was in the moment. I was enjoying myself, and that's when it happened. And then I look back, and I remember one day I was cleaning, and I had my list underneath. I had folded it underneath on my altar. I have a Buddha statue, and I, oh my God, here's my list. And this was like maybe 2 years after, and I had to like literally like guts. Like, anyway, I opened the list, and it was like everything that he was. It was so that's
Everything.
everything.
what I love
And
about
so I was like,
that is,
so
again, most of what I need to do in my life is practice like the sort of not doing stuff, the letting go,
yes.
flow, being in flow, but like kind of relaxing and not thinking that, well, I have to figure out what actions I need to do. Action is a part of the equation, as we talk about a lot, but it's like
Well,
it,
and she did the action, right? She got support. You wrote the list. And then you were
Right.
probably
I love is
trying, and that's when you're like, I need to just
I
let
was
go.
trying. I was trying to, and I was always conscious of like, oh, it was very much in my head. If I really like bottom line, it was, and then I just, I, and it, I'll be honest with you, it came with a disappointment. I had been dating someone, and I was disappointed with how it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of this trying thing. And, and then that's when I was able to get into just being, as that state of like just being, and being in the present and enjoying and letting go of the trying. And that's when the art of allowing happened for me. But it wasn't like I said to myself, I'm going to do the art of allowing now.
right.
It just has to happen naturally, kind of thing.
But I think
And that's how.
that's such a common thing that demonstrates how the art of allowing works, and a lot of times people miss that that's what's going on. Is they think, well, gosh, it was. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard that kind of story where somebody's like, they're describing it as like this freak thing that shouldn't have happened this way. Like, I was really trying, and nothing happened. That didn't make.
Yes.
Then when I stopped trying, then the thing showed up. So I don't know what the heck happened. And it's that, my friend, because if you it doesn't sound right when you say it that way, but what's actually going on, if you describe it more accurately, is even though you were passionate about whatever you wanted, you got into resistance. You wanted it from
That wall, right, comes up.
Yes.
a place of wanting to do the universe's job and control it a little bit.
You said it, Collin. Do the universe's job.
Yeah, when you let go, when you supposedly gave up, like that's when you allow the universe to do its thing and
Right.
let the thing.
Because I got out of the way.
Yeah, and I think your thing about being involved with that other person. I mean, I just think that is like universally relatable. I mean, I've stayed in relationships that weren't working way too long, just because it was like easy. It was like more uncomfortable, but it was easier than, letting myself be single and just opening up to this gigantic, Grand Canyon sized unknown of like, I don't know when I'll find somebody, I don't know if I'll find somebody, how it will be, what will they be like. But there's that sort of thing of like, if I really just get into that belief that like the universe is on my side, it's pulling for me, it wants to bring good things into my life, and for it is easy. Like the problem and the challenge is not the universe, it's not the magic, it's this right here. This is the only issue.
Right. And I think about, I think we all have had, if we look back in our lives, how many times have we manifested an intention, I mean, like by letting go, we weren't really, we had a desire, deep desire, and it just naturally went to the flow of with the art of allowing and all that without doing it consciously, right?
Yeah.
When we do things in that way,
all the time.
all right. How many
we all
times?
do it all the time.
But we're not aware that we have been doing it. I think it's important for us to look back, like, when have when this happened, I did that. And then that helps you remember how you did it, remember the process that you went through to get that. And then it's like, oh, that's what the art of allowing is. You have to kind of stop and feel it, what that feels like.
And we don't know when it's going to happen. Like you didn't know that was going to happen. And like Collin's like, okay, I need to start believing. And so I have this cute story. It's like, apples and oranges, but it is the same thing. Mm-hmm. So several months ago, I had gone to a store and there was this woman that was served, she was at the counter and she had this polish on. And I was like, she was moving her hand. I'm like, oh my God, that polish is so cool. It's like changing colors. I go, what is that? She goes, Essie. I've never heard of Essie nail polish. I'm like, oh. Never even thought to ask her what color it was. I just assume I'd know it when I'd see it, right? So I'm like looking online. Oh, Target has it. So I go to Target. They were wiped out of Essie polishes. Literally, could I even find that color? So then I had looked online and I'm like, I don't even know the name of it. How am I going to find it? And so I was disappointed. Let it go. So the other night I'm with a girlfriend and super excited because we're going to get together and go meet at Coffee Bean and have a drink and then walk across the parking lot and go to Ulta. She needed to do some shopping and then we were going to go to dinner and I was hoping we'd go to King's Fish House. And so we meet and we meet at Coffee Bean and she goes, I'm hungry, let's go. And I go, hey, she goes, you want to go to the fish place? And I'm like, yeah. So we go over there, we get this amazing waitress and we have a delicious meal and then we're trying to figure out our time and she's like, I go, well, we have enough time to go to Ulta and da-da-da. And so we walk over there and I'm just kind of looking around. I love OPI nail polish. And so I go and look at the OPI and seeing if they discontinued one of my favorite colors, which is this beautiful blue. And then I come around the corner and there's Essie. And I'm like, oh, Essie. And I start looking around and I'm like,
there it is.
I took at the bottle and like, is that it? And I see a couple other ones. I'm like, I'm not sure which one it is. And so I go to the counter and I'm like, can I have some tape? Because I learned this trick long ago is you get a piece of Scotch tape and put it across your palm here. And then I get a little bit and I put a little dab, just like little paint samples. And I'm like, holy cow, this is the one. And so I buy it. And I didn't know. I didn't think I'd ever find that color. But here I am in my joy, appreciating, thankful I'm going to spend time with my friend, having a good time, walk into the store. It's not even on my mind.
No.
And then boom, there it is. It's kind of like what you were saying. And I think I had the same thing with a crystal apple dish years ago. And so it's almost like that trusting, like Collin, I love his example of, putting in the Amazon order. Just knowing it's going to show up. We don't know. Well, that's a little different. We know it's going to probably show up on Thursday.
But we don't know when. Okay, yes, that's true.
But the
feeling of it coming, that it's coming.
And then knowing that because we've asked, it's done. When we ask, it is given. Just knowing. And so then just kind of letting it go. So that surprised and delighted me. I was like, I'm still talking about it days later, right? And I think that's the magic of life. Collin talks about the spiritual magic of life is like, we don't want to know the exact time and place and person and thing of everything. Then life wouldn't be magical and wonderful. But just trusting and knowing like, oh, it's coming. It's on its way.
I don't know when. It could be in a few weeks, could be months. It's just let it,
But
I
it's
know
going to
it's coming.
happen, right?
I know
It's
it's
going to
coming, and
happen.
I'm
Yeah.
happy because it's coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Angelica. This has been a delight having you here and talking with you here today.
It
Just
has. It's
so
been
I'll put
fun.
your links and everything in the descriptions of everything we do. But some people are actually just listening to this in the car, and so if people want to get in touch with you, do you want to give your information
Yes,
verbally as well?
it's my website is indigobodybalance.com, and my Instagram is the same, Indigo Body Balance.
Okay, great. And if people want to get in touch with you, Stephanie, how can they do that?
www.powerinjoy, powerinjoy.com, and also on Instagram as well. Same name.
And if you want to follow me on Instagram or write me a message there, you can do that. I am at Collin with two L's underscore Daniels underscore Worster, Worster. We want to thank everybody for listening to the audio version of the podcast on your podcast platform. We want to thank all of you who watched us on the Co-Creation Station YouTube channel. Thank you for following us, subscribing to us, commenting, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. And again, it helps other people find it. So thank you so much for helping us do that. We wish you a wonderful, happy, joyous, abundant week ahead. And we will see you next time on Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.